Okay, Shane, I don't want to labour the point here, but just hypothetically, you think maybe connections, obviously they're always trying for their lives anyway, but do you think connections might change their plans if you price something up 200 to 1? Then they might think, oh, hang on a minute, that's a bit too
definitely,
big.
yeah. I think it's likely. Yeah, There's no doubt that they are trainers and jockeys tend to know their own horses. They don't tend to know the fields. And I remember that from going back when I used to help Johnny years ago when he was riding. He was a brilliant jockey, but the greatest optimist of all time thought he was going to go out and ride a 5 and 6 timer every day. But over time, we'd speak about the racing, and obviously I was learning off him, but he'd be learning off you too. And after a while, he was forming his own opinion about races, just from the exposure to the way we spoke. So he became more probably understanding of prices and expectation and that. So going back to what you were saying, yeah, he would often say to me, I have no chance there, I'm 20 to 1. And I would say, no, you do have a chance. He was already thinking, it's 20 to 1, I don't have a chance. So I think connections can definitely be influenced by the prices the horses are put in. I'm not saying it'll change their mind about what they do, but it will definitely change their expectations.
Okay, now would you say that the skill to really accurately price a race up is all you need to win punting?
It would be a massive part of how I operate. As I have said before, people can have a look at a race and spot a price that's wrong. I could probably do the same too, but I don't think I'd be able to do it long term for profit. I wouldn't be that good. And the other thing I always fall back on is that I wouldn't be able, even if I knew a horse was overpriced, after just looking at the race, I couldn't put my hand on my heart and tell you it was a 2 to 1 or a 3 to 1 shot until I priced all the horses. Because I don't know how you get to that finite point of knowing what price he should be on your tissue until you've priced all the horses. I think there's a little element, for me there'd be an element of guesswork attached to it, and that wouldn't suit me. I wouldn't have a bet on a race unless I priced it. So for me, it's a massive part, but I don't think it's compulsory for a lot of people out there.
All right, now would you get involved if you made someone a 2 to 1 chance and it was 11 to 10? Would you get stuck into laying it?
No, I'd very, very rarely lay a horse where I'd rather back 2 or 3 horses against it. But I would say I wouldn't win money laying horses, and it's not in me. I don't enjoy it. If I was laying horses on a regular basis, I'd say I'd be more relieved than happy if they got beat. And at Christmas, I don't know when I laid a horse for a few quid, and I laid Marine Nationale in the beginner's chase at Leopardstown at 4 to 9, and I thought I was a great lad until he jumped the first 2, and I knew my money was done before he jumped the 3rd. So that put me back in my box laying horses, and it'll be a while before I step in again.
Now I'm told that you definitely have your ear to the ground in Ireland, and probably the best connected punter. Would that be right?
I was surprised when Garrod said that, to be honest, but maybe he's in a better position to judge that than I am. I would speak to a few racing professionals, not so much over jumps. I think mainly because of more flat racing orientated, where I grew up, would have been the people I would have met over the years, and the few horses that we had in training were basically on the flat as well. So look, I'm in the game just 21 years now. I mean, you would have to be connected to some degree, and I think as well all those relationships they're transactional. They're not because we're all great friends. You know, we help each other, where they might come on to you and give you a nugget of information about a horse that's very well fancied, but in turn they'll be saying, what do you think of it? So I'm saying thanks for that, and I appreciate it. I say whatever, then would be, but it would be based on the price of the horse I would be telling them, not whether I thought it would win or lose. And that's what they expect of me, I'd imagine. They're already going to back it. So I think maybe sometimes they just like to have it confirmed, and then maybe they might have a few extra quid on it. I don't know their business. But that'd be where the connections would come, knowing people. And that I think we help each other. It's not that people are annoying me for information or anything. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, now you used the phrase white noise earlier. There's none of it before you price up. Now, is all this stuff that comes to you too much white noise, and is any of it actually valuable to you for your own personal
everything is valuable. It doesn't mean you have to act on it. But all the information is valuable, and you would also have to weigh it up with the source where it came from. You know, it could be second-hand information, it could be straight from the horse's mouth at times. So you take it all on board and make a decision then on what you want to do based on the price that it is. But it wouldn't. I don't mind too much information. I'm happy that, because you can always use it again down the line. You don't have to act on it on the day. It's useful to put in the memory bank going forward. You know, it can always be helpful down the line.
Okay, so you're pricing races and you're making a living successfully for nearly 2 decades back in horses. So you've got to believe that your prices are right. Would the fact that 3 people that you respect their opinion of have rung you up and told you the same horse, then then explain why there's a drift on maybe the one you fancy and a shortening of the other one? You have to factor that in.
I would always be very balanced. I wouldn't just because I have to believe the prices are right, but I know in my heart a lot of them aren't. You know, but you have to have something to work off, and it stood to me till now, so I won't change that. But you mean if they were telling me it wasn't fancied?
Well, no, I mean if there was something that maybe say
it was drifting.
Everybody was tipping you the same horse, 3 or 4 different people told you it, and then it's shortening up. And
no, I wouldn't back it. No, if it was under my tissue price, you mean?
Well, would it then make sense to you? You could say, well, that move is because everybody in the world thinks they've been.
Yeah, I'd always respect. I respect anyone's opinion, and yeah, you have to listen to it. As I said, it doesn't mean you have to act on it.
But there must be some people's opinion that you respect more than others. So there must be sometimes somebody's name comes up, you must think, "Oh, leave me out."
I don't. I wouldn't talk to anyone now in the game that does what I do. You know, say other professional punters. I wouldn't have any dealings with anyone in that line of work. I would speak to some people that would have cards, lads that maybe have a few bets for me, etc. So we might run through the card together and exchange opinions, and you do respect that. So you do, but if they come at you with something, you might have a counter argument, or you might agree with them, but it will come back to what price the horse is if you act on it or not.
Okay, so when you're pricing a race, do you have to employ some sort of lateral thinking when there's some shrewd yards taking part? When you do your 48 hours, you think,
No, I think on a daily basis you're using your intuition at all levels. You know, you see, when people say shrewd yards, they're probably thinking about those middle tier yards that have reputations for landing a gamble, and we all know who they are. So, you know, you're not reinventing the wheel thinking that stuff. But if you think about it, even the yards you would respect at that level, how many times are they actually backing their horses? It's very rare.
Have you spotted pattern when you're doing your form study? I mean, have you spotted patterns which you've sort of realised? Is it like a?
It could be. There's many different criteria that you take into account. You know, on the profile of the horse, where it ran previously. Are they stepping it up in trip? Is headgear going back on? Is it a track it's won at before? So you like the ducks to be in a row. And there's, of course, then you're thinking about who's training it and who they've got to ride it. And you go from there. You have to respect those yards at all times. But there's two layers to that as well, is where sometimes there's money comes from them, but it's yet to be confirmed if it's the right money. It could be just other people taking a chance, getting in ahead of them. I tend to just let all that stuff play out and not get involved.
I know it's a bit Dick Francis and stuff, but everybody thinks there's a plot in every race. I mean, how many percent? Well, first of all, do you ever have on your card, back this if there's money for it, or as what you were saying previously, does it not necessarily mean anything?
Well, there's very, very few plot horses. There's a big difference between horses being targeted at races and a plot horse. A plot horse, to me, is a horse whose true ability is vigorously hidden on a number of occasions, with only one reason for that: to pull off a gamble at big prices. Horses are targeted at races from the lower level trainers to the top trainers every day of the week, with nothing in mind other than trying to win a race. And they might have their few pound on, but it won't shake the earth. But the plot horse, if you go back to the horse that won in Downpatrick last August, anyway, I think it was like 25-1 the night before. Like, someone thought that was a good price of 5-4 when they were lining up. Hadn't shown enough to justify. Like, you could understand why people might back the horse, yeah, but someone still thought 5-4 was a good price jumping off. That's a plot, and one like it. But the people that go down that road, they need the skill and the patience to find the horse, find the opportunity, and then they need serious financial power to follow through. So they do, to pull off a gamble that extreme. That's a plot. A horse having a quiet run, first time out, being stepped up in trip with putting on a pair of blinkers, that's a horse that's targeted at a race. To me, there's a massive difference.
Yeah, so the first one happens so infrequently, it doesn't really bother you. And the second one you would spot possibly anyway.
Yeah, they haven't done their job right if you spot the plot horse. They've messed up if you spot it, because otherwise you're guessing. You can have a guess if you want, if something catches your eye and that, but generally speaking, those plot horses, they're very well hidden. The horses that are targeted at races are much easier to find, because you're building it up on their profile. So yeah, you can always go back to their profile. That's how you'll find them. But if I'm spotting, or the next guy is spotting the plot horse, they've done something wrong.